This works. Well, hello. Um, I know this is an anticipated live. Let's see how long it takes my number one fans to get here. Anyway, so I didn't come on live. Hold on. I gotta put this. Well, it seems okay now. I gotta get my phone to stand up because I'm using a makeshift stand thingy. And I'm not gonna be, oh my goodness. I'm not gonna be oh Jesus, I'm not gonna be responding to when people come in here to talk in the live. I'm not gonna be responding to that because I need to, okay, there we go, I need to focus. And there are people who come in here, and last time I was on here somebody was like, what's gang stalking? What are you doing on a gang stalking page asking what's gang stalking? How did you find this page, weirdo? Like, oh, very aggravating. Anyway, so tonight's live is called, I think I'm gonna call it this, but let's see how the conversation goes. Cutting off your handler. So, a lot of times when I make the lives, a lot of times I make them for people who are actually going through gang stalking actively right now. I feel it very important to give back information as far as like what I've experienced, how my experiences have gone, what I've done to alleviate my situation, to make my situation better. A huge part, obviously, of doing that, and you see, this is the thing. I've spent a lot of time kind of talking about what I've done technically. I've done a little bit of explaining. Just give me a second here. I've done a little bit of explaining about one minute. I gotta put it on another platform so I can see what is going on here. Okay, so I've done a little bit of explaining about what I've gone through, technical things I've done, like turning off a cell phone, like whatchamacallit, turning off a cell phone. What else would I say I've done? Using cash, just different things that I've done to kind of put myself in a situation to alleviate a lot of the heat. And that's the thing. In this situation, it's like there's a lot of pressure. And it'll feel like you're essentially in a situation where, I'm going to talk for myself. When I first got into the situation, and I did explain this kind of on my community page this morning in a post. When I first got into the situation, I was like, this is a situation that feels like it needs to be contained. Like, it feels crazy. I need to get a handle on what's going on. I need to know who wants what from me, what this is about. The situation, as it started evolving, as I started getting kind of used to what was happening, it kind of came to the point where it got bizarre. It got weird. And when I say weird, I really mean I could see that something a little paranormal was happening. It just seemed a little bit coordinated. And I'm not talking about on the gang stalking side. I'm really talking about, I've said this before in previous videos, in multiple videos. It really felt, actually, I'm going to pin that video to my community section on the channel so people can watch it. I think it's called A Spiritual Hit on the Hit Doctor. Something like that. Because I could tell in this situation that, like, really my focus wasn't so much the gang stalking. It wasn't so much being followed around. It really was the spell work. That was the stuff that seemed to be more, not necessarily interesting, but really what was the bulk of what was happening. It's one thing for people to follow you everywhere, but it just seemed like there was another agenda on top of the gang stalking. It's like they're not gang stalking you to, there's a purpose to it. And it doesn't quite make sense. Like, At first, I'm thinking to myself, like, what is the point of people following me all over? Is it to intimidate me? But when they make contact with you, they don't want anything. They're not saying, sign over your house. They're not saying, we're going to take we need money out of your bank account. They're not saying, you know, they're not extorting you. So what do they want? And that's always been the question. And I think a lot of people in my particular, like my situation, I'm being recruited to be a drug mule, or was. I don't care what they're thinking about. If they still think that this is possible, and I say this all the time, if they still think that it's possible, glory be to you. Okay? We can all have opinions. It is what it is. Somebody's on their deathbed. I don't even know what life they're fighting to keep, because the life to me is gone. It is gone. The health alone is a death sentence. The mental that's gone is a death sentence. Losing everything. I mean, but hey, like I said, people can do what people want to do. They want to force the wedding ring on your finger. Oh, I gotta talk about that too today. There are a number of things that I want to address today in this video, and I pray that I get through it all, because I don't like super long videos. So, as I was saying, I couldn't tell what the situation was about, but I knew there was spell work happening, and I think everybody being gang stalked knows that there's something going on along the lines of something energetic or something spiritual. Now, as I start this video, I'm gonna put a pin in it for a second, and I'm gonna say, originally I said that I don't believe in energy work or the military weapons, and I'm gonna take that back. Upon further consideration, I agree with you guys. There's something going on with that too. There is. However, in my situation, I am more concerned about the spell work portion of it. And I know that I'm concerned about it because I'm supposed to be concerned about it. So that was one of my big things. So I'm being gang stalked, I'm being followed everywhere, everything's being hacked, etc., etc. And then I come to the conclusion that it was orchestrated to happen this way. And as time passes, I'm like, no, it's being orchestrated and guided by a higher power that's protecting me through it. And not only am I being protected through it, but I'm being shown everything. But it's like the way God is teaching you, and this is the thing, and it really must be said, because people tend to think that, God gives you the cheat codes to life. No, God just shows you everything and puts you in a position to learn. You have to take notes. You have to be on the ground, focused, and, making connections, putting things together, especially when you're doing this by yourself. There's no distraction and there's no input. There's nobody coming in saying, well, look this way and look that way. There's nothing. It is done in such a way where you cannot deny to yourself what happened. And believe me, in the beginning, you try. You're like, nah. Let me find another way to explain what's going on right now. And there are so many experiences that I can say I have tried to find another way to explain. There are so many of them. I cannot. Like, it's crazy. So it's like, at first I was like, I cannot tell people this story. And, when God pulls me to come on here and start to tell my story, I was like, I can't tell this story without the spiritual part, because that's the bulk of what has been happening here. But I realized that gang stalking is super common. Like, in the beginning, it was like, oh my God, this is just happening. It's not that this is just happening to me, but I felt like perhaps if they're trying to recruit 1,000 people, maybe 5 or 10% make their way into being gang stalked. I don't know what the numbers are. But for me, I started thinking, wait a minute, they're gang stalking people every day. Like, they gang stalk for simple asks. So it's like, imagine if, and this is the way that I see it. I was never in those people's organizations, no matter what was in their brain. I was really never in their organization. I never showed up to any of the meetings. I never put on the jacket. I never pledged allegiance. I definitely don't listen. I definitely don't have respect for anybody. I definitely don't care. So I don't know. If they want to claim me anyway, then maybe I'd be the rebel. I don't know. But I mean, people could say whatever they want to say, doesn't mean it's true, right? But um I'm looking at the situation. I'm like, every time they ask somebody for something and the person says no, they gang stalk them and they do spell work. What a tyrant. This is being ran like death row records. Like every little thing is warranting bullying. Everything. So people just kind of live under this umbrella of being bullied. People live with um just, and they don't even talk to you. They just bully you. So it's like nobody comes out right and says you cannot date that girl. They just bully you. And meantime, it's like, and I'll tell you, going back to my relationship, I know now that he was being bullied while we were together, but I didn't realize the signs. I didn't piece it together because I've never seen anything like this, before. And there's not a lot that I don't get out much proudly. I'm an introvert. I'm like an introvert. I don't I don't want to say I don't like people. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I like people, but I'm an introvert. So I really don't get out much. I don't care to, so I don't know a lot of what's going on. And perhaps people who've been in the streets and people who've been in the know, maybe they know what's going on, but I haven't known what's going on to that extent to be able to say, "Oh, this must be what this is." So I was not in the know, but knowing now and seeing now what I saw, and having been in the situation that I was in, yes, for sure. He was being bullied. And the purpose of the bullying was to leave me alone. I think people who have been in for a while, they know exactly how it works. And all the facades and all the precautions that were taken initially in the beginning to hide certain things, that fell to the wayside. So initially, for example, if people came into the store and they were told to purchase and they didn't purchase, or I don't know, maybe in the beginning I wasn't noticing if they came to purchase and they didn't purchase, but I could say this. In the beginning, in the closer to the end, if somebody came into the store and they were supposed to purchase and they didn't want to purchase anything and they left, they would be running back into the store huffing and puffing in a fright, like they saw a demon outside, running back into the store to come and buy something, because I mean the bullying was getting intense. So it was to the point where people did not want to spend their money anymore because they weren't making money like that. Not only did they not want to spend the little bit of money that they had to continue pursuing the situation of, putting me where people wanted to put me, making me dependent on something that doesn't have money for itself, making me dependent on an organization that is not making money for itself, that has been drained for, at that point, almost a year. It's like me coming in would have made money. I don't know. But it didn't seem like money was flowing. I mean, I met people in the organization that were in dire straits financially. So I met, and that's the thing. It's like one of the things that I asked God for in the beginning, I said, please show me everything. So show me as my prayers are being answered. Show me what people are going through. Show me the different corners. Help me understand what's going on here, because nobody's talking to me. And that's the one thing, I swear to God, that is one of the biggest things. You want to talk about a relationship with trust? Listen, one of these things that I'm really huge on is honesty and transparency, because those are two different things, honesty and transparency. God has been so transparent throughout this process with me, telling me things that I didn't even know I needed to know. And one thing I will tell you, God keeps her promise no matter what, to me. I can't speak for everybody, and I realize I cannot speak for everybody because I don't know everybody's personal circumstances. One thing with God, when it comes to me, I personally feel like in this situation, I am being avenged of something from a past lifetime. Somebody got over on me and God wasn't happy about it. And she took it personally and she's like, listen, we're gonna get this sorted next lifetime. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. And she kept that promise. And I wouldn't have known, and this is the thing, I would have been none the wiser about that situation. So it's like, imagine it's like, oh, it's time. I brought you here just for this. It's time. I taught you everything that you needed to know. We're gonna get this done. You're gonna get your, don't worry. Like, that was the feeling the entire time. It was like, because like I said, I recognize this John Ferreira person. I recognize him. I'm like, I know this fool. I know this man. I know this person. I don't know if this is a man or a woman. I don't know what it is, but I know this energy. I know this energy. The first time I saw him at Perla with Tamara, when Daisy ran off, said she had to run off for whatever reason. And the first time I saw him at Perla, I couldn't take my eyes off of him. I recognized him and he knew it too. I couldn't take my eyes off of him. He knew it too. He knew it too. And I kept looking at him. And I'm like, it's not like I know you. I'm not looking at like, I know this person. I've seen them before. It's not that. It's something else. Couldn't put my finger on it. Drove home, in the car on the way home, still couldn't put my finger on it. It made an impression on me. Encountered him again on Auto Trader trying to sell my car. Knew it was his ass. My phone is ringing all the time, back-to-back calls, fake calls from fake numbers, because I had the phone on Do Not Disturb because I don't answer my phone. Knew it was him. It's that energy, that obsessive psycho energy. I knew that energy. I knew that. I don't care where I encounter this energy. It could be on a fake profile. It could try to sound like it's a foreigner. It could, whatever it is, I know this energy. I know this energy. It's the energy. And I looked at it at the table and I'm like, was irritated, like looking away, looking down and all this stuff. And I was like, what do you do? I was focused on this energy at the table. Everybody's talking. I'm not hearing anything anybody's saying. It's white noise. I'm looking at this and I'm like, what do you do? This was when he was still fat. He tried to lose weight after. You're not fooling nobody. It's the same energy. So I'm looking at this energy at the table and I'm like, what do you do? Got super irritated and mumbled under his breath. What do I do? Flipping out money, paying for the whole table, paying for everybody's meal at the table. Got mad, got offended. But it's normal to ask somebody, what do you do? And I answered it for myself. I remember answering it for myself. I'm like, you're a murderer. Swear to God. I don't question myself. I'll meet somebody and I'll talk to them. And my head will be like, you're a prostitute. And I don't know why. And the person is dressed like a nurse or a nun or something. And my brain is like, you're a prostitute. I don't know why. But that's what you are. I can feel it. I'm sensing your energy. I can feel it. I know it for a fact. I'll have people walk by and my brain will be like, you're an effing liar. I don't even know the person. The person's just walking by like 10 feet away. You know who they are. They keep approaching you and you're like, wow, you really want to come in my orbit like this? Okay, sure. And they put their little mask and they put their little costume and they come with their little speech pre-rehearsed. And it's like, why are you doing this? He's a murderer. He is. Not just spiritually. But spiritually too, of course, for sure. That too. But that's what my brain told me. When I encountered this, Again on Auto Trader, obsessive psycho energy. Doesn't want to let you delete it, doesn't want to let you block it. A professional at invading people's energy and people's space. Very rapey energy. You know what rapey energy is? No, it's like no doesn't mean no to this energy. Like, what are you doing here? Weirdo. Weirdo. Psycho. They had to block that thing from the IP address because when they blocked it the first time, it created another account and was happy to be like, oh, look, I created another account and I'm here to harass you again. It's like, bruh, I said I'm not selling the car. What's wrong with you? And as soon as I put that ad on Auto Trader, I was getting a whole bunch of weirdo nonsense. It's like this energy said that it wanted to get in touch with me because it needed to get in touch with me. I think Daisy might be one of the better handlers that they have because every energy that they've sent since has just been Daisy at least takes a little bit of time. They're all cocky. They all feel like, see, I did it. See, I did it. See, I did it. They at least she takes a little bit of time and builds some equity. You know, the other ones, they meet you. Hi, how are you? Want to go to lunch? Bitch, no. Fuck are you? Like they don't. But you know, to be honest with you, it's been desperate times calling for desperate measures. So I understand why the rush. There was no time. In the beginning, there was time. Now there's no time. So now they need immediate action. They don't have 6 months to build in. They don't have time to build in and invite to girls trips and whatever, and they know that's not going to work right now anyway. So they have to be dependent on unskilled labor, untrained people, an ex-friend. Now they got to dig in the dumpster. People I already threw away, people that already did black magic, came into my energy and all that with dirty energy. They got to do all that. They got to do whatever it takes because it's do or die. It's do it or die, literally. We're not talking about do or die as in determination, like how they talk about in rap. So I'm talking about get it done or die. Simple and plain. These are the reasons. It's like I remember it kept coming up in my head where, you know, God's like, you got to see what a person's going through to better understand them. You know, the kind of lessons that I've been going through in this situation have not been the lessons that one might think. Of course, it's been lessons of being perseverant and all, but I already know how to do that. God already knows that I'm already built like this. Half of it is like I'm already built like this. I'm already a very perseverant person. I'm a very hardworking person. I'm a person who doesn't give up on myself. Done all that. Excuse me. Do you know what? I ran cross country in school. You know what cross country is? Cross country is running for 2 hours, up hills, down hills, valleys and peaks. And when you're done running for 2 hours, you get to the sort of finish line, and that's where you need to sprint. You need to get to the finish line after a long journey, a difficult process, and sprint. Find energy where there was no energy. And I was damn good at it. I placed all the time, like top 10 all the time. Okay. So God already knew that I was like that I could go through a long battle and get to the end of it. And God's like, all right, you ready? You ready? Because I'm going to need a lot from you now. I know you're tired, but guess what? We got to build something else. We got to do something else. That's normal to me. I've been like that from a kid. Pushing myself past the limit is like a little game with me. So it's whatever. I don't really care about that. The lessons really are how to observe without getting involved. How to do your job without personally getting involved. And that is not easy. So you would think that the hard part has been gang stalking. I had an issue with my privacy where I really am very serious about my privacy. I do not like people invading my personal space or my privacy. And I had people running up and in and out of my house, taking things, taking documents, researching me, doing all kinds of things. These people know about X's and Y's and Z's and all this. I don't really care about that anyway. But it's like I had to get to the point where I have to become acclimatized to people passing their boundaries as far as my personal information. I got used to that to a certain degree. I still think it's a boundary that I'm not appreciative of. Another boundary that I had to learn about people crossing is coming into my personal energy, my personal space. Now that one, I don't know what I was supposed to learn about it, but I still didn't learn nothing about it. Like, coming into my energy is poisonous. And I'm not saying that as a threat. I'm saying that because people who come into my energy don't do very well after. Now, I am not in the habit of repeating myself with people. I do not like doing that. You all don't even know how bad I don't like doing that. I don't even like to repeat myself to my children. I tell them all the time, I do not want to repeat myself to you. I'm going to tell you one time. I'm not going to exert myself with telling you either. It's just going to be telling you once and consequences. Telling you no and consequences. People keep coming into my energy and I don't appreciate it. I don't appreciate it. So I'm mentioning it. I'm not even telling nobody because you shouldn't even be in my energy, especially if someone comes in your energy, you have to tell them twice to leave. Oh no. Welcome to the circus. I don't like it. I don't like it. Whatever happens after you come into my energy, you welcome that energy into your energy. Because you know what, I'll tell you, after my, like, this is what I notice about my energy. I'm telling you what I notice, okay? I'm not telling anybody what I actively do. I'm telling people what I notice, okay? Coming into my energy is very intoxicating in the beginning. But how it affects you really depends on your intentions. You come into my energy with good energy and it's great luck. It's amazing luck. You come into my energy with bad intentions and you're not gonna, you might survive it. I don't know. Because I don't look back. I don't know what happens to people. I don't check back. I've had people come back and they want to explain themselves to me and they want to apologize and they're all teary-eyed and I'm really sorry about what I did to you and da da da. I don't know, but I don't do anything. But this energy, I'm not alone in the energy. It's not just my spirit in the energy. You are in the presence of a lot of other things and not just one. You come into this energy, you want to dip a toe in and dip it out to do something that you should not be doing. Something is definitely following you out of my energy. And you're going to have to take that up. However it goes, it goes. Shouldn't have done it. Should not have done it. Still going to keep doing it. All right. Okay. Anyway, had to get that off my chest because coming in someone's energy in their personal space, I'm not learning no lessons about that. Don't do that. Do not do that. Do not do that. All right. I'm not even mentioning it after this. Then people are going to go on the street and talk about me and say, she did this to me. I don't even know them. But maybe you went somewhere you were not supposed to go. This thing is like really like, it feels like one of those Indiana Jones movies. It really feels like one of those Indiana Jones movies where it's like they go into the tomb and they're robbing the tomb. And people do not want to understand, like, those are sacred spaces and you're not supposed to do stuff like that. It feels great until it's withdrawn. When you're not allowed to come back around me and I pull my energy and my attention away from you, it sucks. Life just sucks. And I really need people to understand, especially people in my city, to understand how much these people have violated me, crossed my boundaries, and passed the line with me. Anyway, I don't even care how anybody takes it. I don't care at this point. We are far too gone for explanations. We are too far into this situation to be worrying about who did what. Who cares? Who cares who did what? Who cares? People are trying to survive right now. Everybody's trying to stay alive. Anyway, I got off topic because that really bothered me. But where was I? What's the last thing I was saying? Oh yeah, people. So I asked God to show me everything that was going on. And one of the things that God showed me is how badly things were going for people. I got used to running into people that were the worst possible person that I should run into. I'm like, is this a joke? Like, I need to print a document and the person that I'm running into is cartel. You tell me of all the places I run into this guy. But it's like I need to strategically meet people is what I'm feeling like. This has been happening the whole time. Everybody I meet is somebody that I'm like, it's only so many different coincidences that happen until you get to the point where you're like, this is on purpose. This is very much on purpose, this experience. This is not like this is coordinated here. What is going on? Am I in like a show? Am I being punked? So this girl comes over. And I've known this girl before, but I'm in this situation and I invite her out or whatever. And she's telling me how stressed she is. She owns multiple properties. She owns multiple properties and things are sinking fast. Now, as she's talking, I'm feeling her stress. Like I'm feeling it because she needs to listen to this. This girl needs to come up with like $127,000 in one weekend to save a property. In one weekend. We're talking about leveraging different properties. We're talking about payday loans. We're talking about all of this. And she's telling me, she's like, listen, after this, the money's done. Like, she's like, my savings, she's like, I've been living off of savings. She's like, I don't know what's going on. She's like, I'm sinking. And she's talking and I can hear her voice like breaking, but she's pulling herself back up. And I'm trying to encourage her and give her, I'm like, you know what, let's go out for the weekend or whatever. And so I'm like, yeah, no, it's okay. Come to my place and you can get ready. And she comes to my place. And then I'm getting the sense this girl's flirting with me or something. And I'm like, but she's married to a man. And they have kids. I'm like, nah, it can't be. Everything about it is just like off. The way she's using the washroom with the door open, like this is the first time you're here. It's the first time we're in each other's personal space like this. It's like weird vibes. And it's like after situations like that, you get to glean so much from the situation. You're like, okay, well, I was like, this girl is not straight. That marriage is a cover. And I remember we have carnival in Toronto, okay? And so she was saying, she was like, come give my husband a dance if you see him on the road. I'm like, oh, really? Oh, yo, that's not a real marriage. I don't know. And even when I saw that marriage happen back in the day, I was like, it looks so mismatched. And there was at one point she made a video dancing on him, and this girl looked like it was stressing her out to do it. Like it was so uniform. I couldn't imagine telling someone dance on my husband. Not the way West Indian dance. West Indians don't like. This is not the two-step. It's not the two-step. So doing that on somebody's husband in public, this is a sex cult. This is weird. They're same sex. I don't know, when did this happen? Why would it in this day and age, why would somebody need to cover that up? Everybody is out and proud and there's a whole parade. So like you get to pick up a lot of information about these people, but I use this as an example for two things. First of all, it's a sex cult, and that should be noted. They like to manipulate people sexually. So it's a sex cult. Just wanted to put that out there. This is a sex cult. It's a sex cult. It's weird. It's dirty. Okay, so that's out the way. But more so, these people have been going through it financially for a long time. These people have been losing everything for a long time. I remember even the printer guy I called, and I was just making small talk with him on the phone, and I said, um, so how are things going? And this man's telling me how horrible things are going business wise. And that's the thing about going through life and not learning lessons and not understanding that life is a school, is that you will not understand that you need to collect lessons. Like, you need to actually learn them actively. And the older you get, the more you need to learn lessons. You need to learn from your actions. You need to see what you're not doing right, where you've gone wrong, and you need to rectify the path that you're on. The older you get, the less mercy God has on you. Let me tell you, when you're younger, I mean like a child, you can get away with having no discipline in your prayer life. You know, my kids meditate here and there and not properly. My kids have so much protection on them. I'm envious of it. Like, I will get touched with something and I'll notice it. They won't even notice it. They'll just like, they just walk through spell work. Like, they just don't feel anything. They bounce back. They're fresh faced. Their brain's working great. Like, I'm like, damn, that's me. That was me. That's how I was. The protection is free. Don't even have to work for it. Don't need to pray. Don't need to anything. It just comes with the package. Nothing goes wrong with them. Like, I know damn well this girl did not study. How did she pass this? This is crazy. Like, it just works like that for them. But as you get older, you have to pay for everything. You have to do the work. You have to learn, because you're not a child anymore. So you have to be focused on the things that you need to be focused on. And I think in this situation, people have been going through a lot of, what would I call it? People have been going through a lot of lessons and not learning. They've not been connecting the dots. And you know what? I guess it's because people have been getting away with things for a long time and there being no repercussions for their actions. So it's like, I've been getting away with this so long and nothing's happened to me, that I'm just going to keep getting away with it. I'm just going to keep doing the same things. I'm just going to keep, antagonizing people. And, maybe it's the economy, maybe it's Trudeau, maybe it's this and that. And not maybe it's time to pay up for all the things that we've done. Now, I say that in one way, but in the other way, I know that some of them do know. Because I've been approached by people that have said, I know that I'm paying karma for things I've done. I've been approached by people that have said that. So I know that people, some of them do know that it is karma that's coming back to get them. I know for sure the people at the top definitely know this is probably karma for this thing and that thing and that thing and that thing that I did. Because it's very apparent that nobody's getting away with this. Like, this is out in the open. This is a mess. This has to be the worst case scenario and the worst nightmare, is that all the illusions would be uncovered, that people would figure it out. That once somebody started talking, everybody would start piecing the pieces together, that people would start walking away. And I think that's exactly what's happening right now. So I'm here to talk about, well, two things I really want to talk about today, but let's see which ones I get through. Cutting your handler off. So I've explained in other videos that these people always want to approach you with some sort of handler. The first handler that they sent my way was a prostitute named Daisy Porras. Like a real prostitute. Like, I've never met a prostitute in my life. I really thought it looked like somebody that stands on a street corner, and it looked different. So I'll give it that. She was the first one that they sent, and she very much tried to like groom me. Oh, you should do your makeup, you should do this surgery, you should do that. And It's like, that's not my lane. Like, whatever this is, she was trying. I don't know if that's what they do to the girls once the girls get in, if they turn them to prostitutes, to hookers. I don't know. I never got far enough in it. She used to irritate me. I got rid of her very quickly. Then she tried to pass me on to John Ferrer. John Ferrer has been trying to get into my energy for so long. When he finally got in, he was happy as a pig in shit. Like, that man has been trying for a long time and has still been trying since. And, you know, the thing about that is, you would think that they would send you a handler. Well, I guess they just sent the best that they had. Or maybe they just, not maybe, they definitely took me wrong and they definitely misjudged me. And no matter what they saw in front of them, they just didn't want to change their mind. So in the beginning, every single person that came to me, they're like, you talk so white. John said it, Daisy said it, you talk so white. What did people tell you? What is talk white? Oh, you assume I'm ghetto because I'm black. Okay, no problem. It is what it is. Nothing about what they saw changed their mind. Nothing changed their mind. They were just dead set that this is the individual that I am. This is how I'm going to operate. And they wanted me to fit that stereotype so badly. And that might have been, I mean, not might have been, that's probably the first place you're going to go wrong when it comes to getting anything done. How can you get anything done and you're not looking at a situation for what it is? You're looking at it for what you want it to be. That's going to always be the first place that you go wrong. Like, you can't come into a situation and tell a cat it's a dog and then be mad 3 years later, $3 million later, that the cat is not barking. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So that's been the first thing. Beyond that, it's like, you would think that a handler or somebody would be paired pretty well with whoever's supposed to be handling them. Like, if I evaluate someone and I'm like, okay, this is a corporate person, this is a person who works in corporate America, this is a person who, like, a persona, putting a persona together, like, this is a person who works in corporate America and they make this much and they live this sort of lifestyle and this is what they're into. Why are you sending people in trying to change me? They're sending in people that don't match me, but they're trying to change me into something else. They want me to be a part. Oh, that's right. Because they didn't want my ex to have the respect for me that he did. So they want me to be the party girl. They have made up a story about who I am and they need evidence of it. They need me to be what they said I was so badly, that I'm a party girl, that I'm out all night, that I'm doing all of these things. And so that's how they came in to create something new, something different. And it didn't work because you have to have a higher IQ than the person handling you. And it's unfortunate that a bunch of the people who are being handled, I've seen people come in with their handler. They always send somebody into my store with their handler. And the handler is something or someone who is nothing like the person who's come in the store. So it's somebody who, let's say it's like man to woman. It's a male handler. The male handler is married or has a relationship of his own, but he's in here with a woman and you're getting the vibe like that's her husband or that's her boyfriend because of the way that he can tell her what to buy and he's telling her when not to buy. And it's like they boss this person around. They have some odd control over this person. And it's like they get into this person's life. And I don't know if they manipulate people. Well, they do. Daisy tried that with me once or twice. And I was like, girl, I'll block you. And when I went silent, she'd send me a message on another platform, be like, oh, I know you blocked me. And I'm like, I didn't even block you, but you know you're guilty. You know what you tried to do. Nobody could tell me what to do. And I don't care how mad, like, getting mad at me because I didn't listen to something that you said is crazy. Like, you're getting instantly blocked out of my energy. I don't care what you're talking about. I don't even know you. And that's how I see it. You never even been inside of my home. Don't care. Don't care at all. So it's like, this is what they do to people, is they put people in these situations where they're handling your life. And I don't know if they add the spirituality to this initially, because I know spiritually when it came to certain individuals, there was Nothing keeping me bound to this person spiritually to make me feel like I had to listen. But maybe they do some sort of like spiritual manipulation, but there's always some sort of handler. There's a person who's close enough to you, who knows what your plans, knows where you're going, knows what you intend to do, and then they start the drama. I remember she got mad because she was there to end my relationship and I was going away for my birthday and she asked me where. And in my gut, I was like, I shouldn't be answering that question, but I did. And they followed us and it was blatant that they were following us, and I put it together that they were following us at that time. So we ended up having the trip and they never figured out where we were going, or if they did or didn't, I don't know, I didn't care at that time. But that's what a handler is. If you don't know what a handler is, just Google Hollywood handler. And since that situation, it's like, you know what, being in this situation kind of feels like seeing the world for what it is. And it takes some adjusting to, because all of this is going on in your face and you don't know. I remember I saw Kathy Hilton. I saw Kathy Hilton say something about her own sister backstage in a trailer. And she said something about like, she doesn't think that her sister, she thinks this was premeditated for her sister. Her sister doesn't make decisions very easily and stuff like that, to divorce the husband. And Kyle Richards and Mauricio. And she said that she thought this was a behind the scene footage. And she said she felt like it was premeditated. And she said, well, I don't usually say stuff like that. She was being recorded and she's like, I don't usually say stuff like that. And the makeup artist goes, but you did. And she's like, yeah, but I did. And I was like, yeah, that's one of her handlers. And I think people in positions of power and people who have money, they're surrounded by handlers. They're surrounded by people who they so-called trust, who are there to take advantage of them and to point them in a particular direction. And I remember when I was going through with my business, initially, it always felt like I was being manipulated to go further and further into the deep end to sell clothing that I had never, ever, ever intended to open this business to sell. But you know, part of that was poor planning. And I remember somebody told me, I spoke to this guy and he said to me, he's like, you're supposed to have an intention and a plan for your brand. You're supposed to know where it's supposed to be, where you're trying to go. You're supposed to have targets. And I didn't have any. And for me, I was just trying to make money. And that's one thing that I think a lot of businesses, small businesses, miss, is that you just open the business and you just want to make money. And here comes these vultures. And I feel like they exist in every country, in every city, in every state, all over the world. These handlers, these people who come to steal, these vampires that drain your business. They come in and they put themselves in positions of influence in your business. That is what I don't just feel, that's what I know, that's what I've seen. And I've seen it for myself. So these things have happened, these things have occurred. And I've seen people's handlers. And it's not just in that business. Even in the last location that I was in, I could see people being handled. I could see every store owner in there had a handler. And I could tell you, oh, the handler of this business is the so-called receptionist. Oh, the handler of this business is the so-called assistant. The handler of this business is, you know, one of the girls who's been there for forever. Once you're a handler, you're there for forever. It's like you're going to be their ride or die employee. You're going to be the one that they confide in. You're going to be the one close to. And they try to send me staff like that. That would be sort of like a little handler, a little like inside person. And I like the person. The person seems likable, but they're just there to fish information. You need to figure out who your handlers are. You have more than one handler for sure. There's a handler friend, at least one, if not surrounded completely by these types of people. If you have a business, there's somebody in the business. Listen, let me tell you, my ex's handler was the one employee that he's like was the ride or die. That one didn't like me from day one. Did not like me, and I didn't take to him either. We didn't care for each other at all. I kept to my business. He used to give me the evil eye, and I just would just, I'm not a person to tell a person anything about who they work with, but it's like, and I don't want to put anybody in a situation in the middle, but it's like that one is no good. I knew that for sure, for a fact. And that one was the one who probably initiated the whole, campaign to get me out of there, probably. um but they always have some inside person that's very close to you. um Not only just, like I said, not with friends, not just with business. um your lawyer, they try to change everything. Oh, you have a lawyer, let's change your lawyer. You get some unsavory weird lawyer. um if not the lawyer, then it's like everything's gonna change. Oh, I have a great dentist, come to my dentist, come to this. They groom people, they continue to groom people. Listen, nothing in your life is gonna go well unless you start cutting off those handlers. Cut these people off, and I do mean immediately. Like, some people give people closure and they like to tell people, well, it's the end of the road with us, I don't think it's gonna work. I personally, you just get cut off. You could be sleeping at 3 a.m. and you're gonna know in your energy that I'm done with you because I pulled back. You can feel it. I say just cut them off, get rid of them. That's how I see it. They mean well. They're a pipeline of personal information being drained from you, and that's how people know what to attack in your life. Because I had no handler, I had to get hacked. Because people needed to know what to destroy, because otherwise I was just moving forward with my life. So I got hacked. And all of these things happened to me. And not to say other people are not hacked too, but they took it way too far. Because I'm not walking around with a phone, now you're putting a GPS on my car. They keep taking it further and further because, again, it's a do or die situation. It's a do or die situation, and they don't want it to be closed, because if they leave me alone, if it stops, definitely gonna have to talk to the overlords about what is going on. So it has been a nightmare, to say the least, for somebody else trying to put me in a life or death situation. Odd. Once you cut off your handler, so I've kind of explained what a handler is as best as I can without having to like Google and be formal and whatever. Maybe I might come back and do a video about that. When you're done cutting your handler off, I'm at 52 minutes, so I'm going to try to keep the end brief, even though the end is the bulk of what I want to talk about. So maybe I'll make a part 2. When you're done cutting your handler off, that's when the pressure is going to start. Now, I understand that most people are probably not going to want to go through the hardships of cutting a handler off, because these people like to keep a very tight grip over your life. So once they start seeing that you're cutting off everybody that was meant to give information and keep you in line and keep you in control, they panic. When they notice that they have no more control over you, they panic. So it's going to be difficult. It's going to be what I went through. When people start losing control, you're gonna need to know how to pray. And that's the thing. I think that in the situation, especially with the way a lot of people have lived their life, it's gonna be distasteful, or not distasteful, but it's gonna be, I guess, people are gonna be discouraged because they're gonna say or gonna think, you know what, I haven't lived the best life, I haven't done the best things. And I understand what that feels like, to feel like you need to start praying when you've been doing things like gang stalking people, when you've been doing things like, and this is the best that I can say about it. You have 2 alternatives in the situation. Keep going down the path that you're going, or trying to avoid the ending that's happening for you. It's better to try to avoid it than to just blatantly keep going, because you're saying to yourself, well, you know what, I've lived this way long enough. I don't know what to say, and I'm not God, but I feel like if God didn't care about people going through this, yes, now let me put a pin in that. There are a lot of people who are happy gang stalking. I mean, they're happy. I'm not saying that. There's some people, it's like they try their best to put on the fake smile and whatever, because they're being told to do something. There are a lot of people like that, where it's like you can see that this is a person who probably gets gang stalked themselves. These people have an eye on them because they know this person doesn't really want to be there. This person is being forced the entire time. That is probably where I would have been had I ever succumbed to any of this. I would definitely be one of those people that would have a constant eye on, because I don't care. I wouldn't care for any of it. There's a ton of people like that as well. But there are people who are genuinely, they're happy. And you know the thing that I've come to realize about the people that are happy with it? They have entities on them. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. I'm not making excuses for nobody. Entities feed on what's already there. So the fact that you caught the entity like that means that you already had an issue with whatever behavior this is to begin with. Okay? You already had an issue with it. I'll tell you a story. There was a real estate agent that I was dealing with, and I can see that she had an entity on her and she was struggling with it. I can tell. Because one minute she'd be on demon time. Like, she'd be on her worst behavior, and the next minute she'd be like, yeah, you're right, you're totally, like, you can see she was struggling with it. And there were times that that lady was talking to me and she was on the verge of tears, and she could see that what she was doing wasn't right, and she could tell that this was going bad. This was a deal that was dangerous for her. She could see it. It was bad from the start. It was bad from the onset. From the onset, it wasn't good. And I just came to the conclusion that this lady definitely has an entity on her. And the thing is, when you have an entity on you, it abuses you. It's not like it's just there and it's just enjoying your low vibrational behavior. It is abusive to you. And this is exactly what was going on, is this entity was abusing this lady. And it's not just her. John Ferrer is being abused. I'm talking about multiple entities here too. Abused. 1 minute needs therapy, 1 minute wants to change, 1 minute is apologetic, next minute total loss of self-control. And it's gotten to the point that I can see it. And it doesn't take anything at all to trigger it. That's the thing. That's the sad thing. Because if you could identify the triggers, then you can begin to control. But it's like, once it hears no, once it hears, it encounters a boundary, it loses it. He loses his shit. He flies off the handle. And then he starts throwing spell work. He's going to throw spell work all night long. He's going to stay up all night doing this. And you can see this obsessive behavior in multiple parts of this person's life. Like, you can see it in the eating habits. You can see it in the... It's like that energy is like the preceding energy that precedes all the other energies. It's like it lords over the other ones. So it makes the effect of all the other ones even worse, because whatever behavior is there becomes more and more and more obsessive. If it's obsessive, sexual deviance, then it's in extreme. It's like blackout, like a blackout session. I'm going to do all this spell work. I'm going to black out. And then he comes back and it's just like, yeah, you really did that. You really heard something that you didn't want to hear, and you threw a death spell. And then it came back. And then it's on its way back. And it's like, the last video that I made, I talked about people identifying if there's an energy on them and trying to separate themselves from whatever that energy is, trying to find the separation between them and that energy. And a lot of people in this group have recognized what's going on, and they look scared, and they're wearing crystals. And the healing is much deeper than that. It's much deeper than that. It's much deeper than wearing crystals. Let me not get too too sidetracked. Need to learn how to pray, because as soon as you decide to pull away, you're going to come up against obsessive psychotic behavior. You're going to be dealing with a psychopath. You're going to be dealing with something that has control issues, that is going to try to dominate you, that is going to try to force your will, force you, literally force you to do whatever it says. You're going to go from, you're not just going to be praying about a whole bunch of spell work coming your way and a whole bunch of negative energy. You're going to be at war, spiritual warfare. And this is why you need to pray. So, first things first, you need to get you one of these. This is my Bible. You need to get you a Bible. Now, Christians read the Bible, but it doesn't mean reading the Bible makes you Christian. There are a lot of things in here that you will read that one might classify as pagan. That one, everybody uses the Bible, is what I'm going to say. So if you're not Christian, it doesn't matter. It's a means of praying. If you already have your own religion, like say you're Muslim, or say you're, whatever it is that you have grown up in and that works better for you, that's fine. There's this thing about like which God is this and which God is that. Like, whatever you call God, whatever you call the divine energy, because I feel like people definitely interpret God in different ways. People have a different image of God. We hyperfixate too much about what one person's image of God is versus another. We hyperfixate on that, and it doesn't matter. Sometimes it's the exact same energy. It just manifested itself differently for different people, because there's some people that if this energy showed up in this format, that person would not be accepting. That person would feel, what would I call it? That person would probably feel terrified, or they wouldn't take to it, or they'd be prejudiced in some way. Like the Madonna has ivory skin, but the saint of death that I would say that's the same energy. Just one has skin and one doesn't. If I took off my skin, I'd be a skeleton. You wouldn't be able to tell what race I am. Well, maybe scientists would, but I'm saying the average person probably wouldn't be able to tell what race I am. And that's the point. Because people get fixated on the color of the skin, or white Jesus or black Jesus or this or that. And I don't think that matters as much as the message of what people are supposed to be, thinking about, what you're supposed to be gravitating to. The first thing I would do after you get your Bible, I would definitely Google prayers. I would Google what books and what chapters to read that have to do with spiritual warfare. That's the first thing. The second thing that I would do is I would Google Psalms that have to do with, Psalms that have to do with protection Psalms. Everybody knows about Psalms 23 and Psalms 91. I would go beyond that. I've found constantly passages of Psalms that have been extremely beneficial to me. And especially if you do not know how to pray, you need to be reading Psalms as if they are a prayer, as if they are your words. Because I know sometimes it's hard to get the words. It's hard to figure out what to say. And the whole thing of prayer, it's like, especially when you hear other people pray, it's like such eloquent prayers, like so well put together. Listen, God is not. There's also people even like spiritually that there's this attitude like, I have the better altar. My altar has more food on it, more decadent things, and I change it more often, and I do this and I do that. And it's like, that is not what anybody's looking at. It's the heart. It's the intentions. It's how you take that relationship. God really wants people who have heart. Like, that's what it really boils down to at the end of the day, is your heart. Like, what are you willing to go through for God? How are you willing to live? And if you say that you believe in God, there's certain ways that you just can't live. And I had to come to terms with that. There's just certain things I can't say that I'm going to sell these clothes, but as long as I don't dress this way and as long as I don't live this lifestyle, then it's okay because I need to make a living. And that's just not, this situation has proven that to me, that I cannot do that. I cannot exist in that way. So if I say that I can't exist in that way and I see that's the right way to to be, and I'm being persecuted not to do the opposite, I think God really appreciates that I would be willing to be persecuted than to live in a way that I know would not be in alignment with my personal spiritual beliefs, which to me are more important than anything else. And I think that's what it boils down to, is how much are you willing to suffer to put yourself on the right path? And it's not about I'm putting myself on the right path because I want to have this money and I want to live this lifestyle and God's going to reward me. It's not even about any reward. This is not a transactional relationship, because when God has taken care of you all this time, it hasn't been about transactions. It hasn't been about, there's been no invoice at the end of it. There's no, I'm taking care of you and I'm loving you and I'm supporting you because A, B, C, D, E. It's nothing to do with that. So at the end of the day, it's like you have to have some integrity. My phone is gonna die soon. This is the second time that it's shown me that it's dying. Um oh, somebody even said something in a chat I didn't even see. Hold on. Oh, anyway. Um yeah, so as I was saying, it's a matter of making sure you live in what's in accordance to what you believe in and to what you know is right. I think everybody in that situation knows what they're doing is not right. They all know what they're, whether they're being bullied to do it or not, you know it's not right. And there is no excuse. I was bullied to do it as well, and I decided not to. You got to know how to pray. And you got to pray. And one more thing I want to say about the prayers, I'm going to have to make it a part two because I do not have enough time in this video to really go in depth about how to pray. I have all these notes and I can't go through with it, but I'm going to leave with this before I leave. When you're praying, your voice is invoking energy in a certain way. You're not there are different types of prayer, and let me even write this down. I'm gonna go into types of prayer, but when you're praying because you've been persecuted and you're being gang stalked and whatever, you're not doing a whiny prayer. Your prayer needs to have strength behind it. You are charging up energy. You're charging up energy. That's why witches chant. So you are not going to be putting yourself in any kind of situation where you're like, I know the first couple prayers are going to be like, a little nervous, a little scared. You're going to be scared of the situation, whatever, whatnot. But the you're not gonna be, you can't have whiny prayers. You got to speak with intention. And this is why you can't fear the situation that you're in. You have to see it for what it is. So hopefully the people watching my video have seen and heard quite a bit to know why I'm not scared of this situation at all, why there's no fear. I see it for what it is. They may want to put out there like, yeah, we're gonna kill, we're gonna shoot, but that's a lot of noise. That's a lot of noise. That's a lot of attention, especially for someone who's being taught, who's been, people who use spell work do not use spell work because they want to go out and do shootouts in the street. They don't need to do that to get rid of you. That's not why they use spell work. They use spell work so that they don't have to deal with investigations and court cases and whatnot. Okay, that's the purpose behind that. That's why people take that route. So the likelihood, I'm not saying it's not there entirely. In my particular situation, I'm dealing with violent people in general, but I am saying I don't think that's the first motive. I don't think that's the first thing that people want to do is, out and out do stuff like that. Is this man desperate enough to do it? Absolutely. But I mean, everybody knows it's not a good idea. He as crazy, his mind's gone, but he knows better. He knows better. He would be the first person that they come looking for, and not just looking, in handcuffs. It would be beyond looking. So anyway, I'm gonna have to leave it here because my phone's dying and I'm already at an hour and 9 minutes. I'm gonna make a whole other video about how to pray because it warrants a whole video in and of itself. So I'm just gonna call it "Cut Off Your Handler" Part 1, and then I will come back for a part 2. Thank you guys for the people who have tuned in. Have a good night.